I've interviewed a lot of teachers about this, and a number of teachers said to me that what I used to teach as one step, what I used to think of as one step, I now see as 7, maybe 10 or 11 micro steps and all that. So this idea of sort of seeing much more sharply. What's been your experience in the classroom in terms of teaching, and how have you found it?
It's funny what you just said, because I was going to say that same thing. Ordinarily,
you
just don't mind. Ordinarily, you would just start teaching like multiplication. You would just start with the standard algorithm, and this shows you that there's steps. There's a bunch of steps before you actually do the standard algorithm, and we sort of skip over steps A and B and just go right to C, where in the jump math, it takes you through all that, and the kids actually, they find step C by themselves. Like, they discover it on their own. They'll say, oh wait, but can't you just do it this way? Or doesn't this work? And yeah, so it's really great. Their confidence is like, it's so great. There is no real hierarchy in my class when it comes to math. Even the lowest learners, they almost are thriving more so than the higher learners, because they see that I can do step 1. Oh wait, and I can do step 2. So then they feel confident they can tackle any problems. We just took the state test, and they weren't even like frazzled by it at all. I mean, they just sat there. I mean, there was no like breakdown of anxiety or anything like that. They sat there, happily just answering the questions. They have fun. Like when it's math time, they're so happy to have math. Like, I mean, if I like move it on the schedule, they're right away, when is it? What do you mean? Why are we doing that? They really enjoy it, and they have like the competition, but it's a competition not amongst each other. It's almost amongst themselves. Can I solve this problem? They're very excited when they can. And it's really, I've never seen that before. Like, that was just, you always have the kids that come in, I can't do math, and you have their parents who say, well, I can't do math, so, I know they're not going to be good at math. And then right away, I used to be like, don't say that, because that's, they believe it. But,
yeah.
But these children believe they can, and,
yeah.
and so they really, they do.
And so if, how do you know, can you give an example of sort of how you can sort of see how you can take something that a normal person would think of as one step and how that's actually 2 or 3 or 4? Is there some, I don't want to put you on the spot, it might be hard to dig that up, but just to sort of illustrate it or bring it alive, is there?
I have an example I remember that I can do when it comes to me, but so you can defer the question or you can give, I'll give you a back.
Good phone a friend.
We're all here. We're all about scaffolding confidence here.
I was just going to say the example with the multiplication, like 2 digits times 2 digits. We first started with the ones, and then there's like a blank spot there, so they would just do the ones, and then they would not do the ones. The ones would already be done for them, and then they would just do the tens, and then put it together, and then it would be the ones and the tens. And something else, like we did fractions or angles, when we first started doing angles. We talked about it as each angle ended up as like a full rotation. And so when I introduced then actual finding it, turning the angles into fractions on the circle, because they had that scaffold of knowing that the angles are going to be a full rotation 360. They knew that the 1/4 of the angle was 90 degrees and that all 4 of them would be 360 degrees.
So I'll ask you after. So if you could just add one more comment on how what's your experience of being a teacher? I mean, obviously you went into teaching because you like kids,
right.
Like working with kids. So how, at the end of the day, what's your life like now? In some days, does you have a different feeling about teaching? Or is it still the same, but my math class is better?
It's tough. It gets better every year. It's different in different times of the year. It's different too. Like, so for example, what's fresh in my mind is we just did the standardized tests, and so watching them do that was a sense of pride, and like that I had something to do with that. Like made me feel good. I mean, it goes in spurts, like different. Sometimes you don't see the results, so you feel, you feel bad, what can I do? Can I do more? Like, so when I started here at the school, we didn't have, with the Common Core was just sort of new, and we didn't have a program, and it was, to find lessons to keep them engaged, to get the children excited about learning, to make sure they were aligned with the Common Core. It's hard, and so to have an opportunity to have a program that's going to instill this excitement was really, I was happy. Like, that made me feel good, because then I feel like, they're really learning. I feel that. Like, I have students who came in crying because they couldn't do math. I mean, real tears. And this one of my students, and she, I mean, as the year went on, you could just see the growth. And then at the end of the year, she passed the state test with the 4, the highest that you could get. And she was, I mean, you wouldn't have thought that day one. Like, that was not a possibility. And when we saw her score, I mean, I cried. I was really, like, that to me was like a success.
That's amazing. Thank you. Jason.